Hey everybody, this is Mr. Hamrick. I'm your math teacher. I've made a little video here to walk you through D2L and MyMathLab to show you some of the features you'll use in this class. So this is the second video in a series of videos about orientation. The one that precedes this is the one about D2L, so make sure you go watch that one first. So now I'm going to show you inside D2L how do you get inside of MyMathLab and what is the process. So as shown in the D2L video, if you click Content here, you can go down to MyMathLab on the left. And also, just so you know, I do post an announcement that has a link to MyMathLab, and I keep that announcement up all semester. So you'll click here on MyMathLab, and you scroll down, and you'll click on MyMathLab here. So now, the first time that you click this, it's going to go in and ask you what your username and password is. If you have an existing one, go ahead and use that. If you forgot the username and password, you can do the password reset tool. If you don't have an account, create one. And then after that, it's going to ask you how do you want to pay for your access to MyMathLab. So you have two options typically. The current running price is about $70 for 16 weeks worth of access to MyMathLab. Or you can buy a 24-month or 2-year access code for a little bit more. I typically recommend the 16-week because all our semesters end in 16 weeks or less. So you'll either pay at that time, or if you purchased a code or got one from financial aid from the bookstore, you will have a code and it's about 25 characters long. I can't remember the exact number, but you will put that code in and type that in, and then you will gain access to your course. If you have a co-requisite course, that code should get you into both this class and the other class that goes with it. So you should only need one code. And then once you get to that point, you will come in. Now it also should back up and say, if you don't have the money, you can, or financial aid hasn't come through yet, you can get a 14-day free access period. And then after the 14 days, you will be locked out and be required to buy a code. So once you finally get into MyMathLab, you land on this page here. Now this is the Instructor Home. Let me show you what the Student Home looks like. You should land, and there's a calendar here, and it will show you various assignments here. That there's a homework. The blue dots represent homeworks. There's a yellow shape for tests, I believe, and it tells me there's 7 more that have been assigned on this date, and then we have some that are due out here. You can scroll down and also get a quick little synopsis of the assignments in your course, how many questions are in it, and all those kind of things. But to get started with the work, what you'll do is you'll click on Assignments. So in the assignments list, for nearly every course, I have 2 assignments for each section of the textbook. The first one is a media assignment. Let me click that one. These are not for a grade. This is totally for your benefit. This is essentially your lecture period, where you will come in and watch videos. Sometimes there are links to the textbook. Sometimes there are links to PowerPoints or other multimedia assignments. And you can click those and watch those as you need it. That's why I make them optional. Some of you may not need that. You may understand the topic right away. It's familiar to you from high school or some other time when you've taken this course. And so those are totally optional. And also, just so you know, if over here in the left-hand column, if there is not a due date, that means that that assignment does not have a grade. So you see every other one that says media does not have a due date, because that means there is no grade. And in fact, if we scroll on down the list a little further, there's a practice test down here. It does not count for a grade because it does not have a due date beside of it. So next we go try to do the homework. So let me show you how the homework will work. So you'll click here and it says you have 15 questions, and it reminds you when it is due right here, and also if you submit it late, there may be a policy there about what the late submission policy is. And so when we open the window for homework, we get a question here. And so in this window, there's a few things I want to point out. In the left-hand corner, it says this is section 5.1, question 3. If you actually look at the textbook, I'll show you how to do that in a second to look at it online. You can go straight to look at question 3 in the textbook, and this question will be very similar. The numbers might be a little different, but it does line up with a question from the textbook, and that's the alignment there between MyMathLab and the textbook. If you don't know how to do this question, the first place you should go is come over here to Question Help. And so we have various options here. This question does not have many options here. Let me find one that has a little bit more options for us. That was a fill-in-the-blank question, so I'm going to jump ahead to one where we type in an answer. All right, so question help. All right, so now we have two options here to get help. The first one is help me solve this. Help me solve this will work this problem right here with these numbers. All right, and then after it shows you how to work this problem, when you get through the help process and you finish it and it shows you how to do it, it will regenerate this question with new numbers. All right, I do not recommend using this one. Let's say you've been working this problem and you've spent 15 minutes trying to find out this problem and you don't know how it works. If you click help me solve this, it will show you how to fix the steps or mistakes that you made, certainly, but all that work you've done will be lost. You'll have to do it again for another problem. Sometimes you can get out of that log jam with view an example. And view an example will open a question with similar numbers, but they will be different, and it will walk you step by step through how to solve that problem. And you can click continue down here to move through all the steps. And when you get done moving through all the parts here, you will click close, and that window will go away, and it will return you to the original question that you started on. So it just depends on your scenario. If you're looking at it fresh and you don't know how to do it at all, I do like to help me solve this, because along the way, instead of it being a lot of text, there are things where you need to work alongside and type in an answer here in the blank. It's a little bit more of holding your hand along the way. The other options, this one actually has a video, so if you click that, it will take you to a video of this problem type. Every question has a link to the textbook. It will take you to the point in the textbook where you can read about this. And then the last option I want to point out here is Ask My Instructor. I'm going to click that. What this does is if you get stuck and the previous help just doesn't help you and you still don't understand it, you can come right here and this will generate an email to me, and you can come down and say, add a little message here if you like. I don't understand how they get -3 or something, some little message, or I'm stuck on whatever part. Give me a little bit of a message. You don't have to give me a message. And then you would click send, and then it generates an email to me. So that's a way to get a question, and it will be a specific, it'll be the question that you got with your numbers. And so I can respond to your question with your numbers, which is kind of helpful. All right, I'm just gonna type in a bad answer here. I'm gonna say this is 2,3. And it's going to say, it gives you feedback here. Now, your answer must be in the form in an ordered pair. Make sure it gives you all the feedback you need. And so maybe if you get close to the right answer and maybe you get a sign wrong, it might even tell you. So always read that message. It might say, you got the right answer. Maybe you put 1/2 and it wanted 0.5. For example, it wanted a decimal. And it'll tell you, hey, you got the right answer, but you didn't put it in the right form. Always read that message. Now I'm going to miss it again. And I'll put 3,3, which is the wrong answer, and I get a third time to try it, and I'm going to try 4,3, and it finally tells me the correct answer was -8,5. All right, so at this point you can just move on to the next question if you like, but this question will be marked wrong in your grade. If you would like to try it again, you can do this as many times as you want for any question, almost any question in MyMathLab. If you click similar question, it will regenerate that problem with new numbers so you can try again. So essentially what I'm telling you right now is that there's really no reason that you shouldn't have a 100 on every homework. You should view the homework as a place to go in and try to do the work, and don't be afraid of making mistakes when you're in the homework. And so you'll work through your homework, and as soon as you type any answer in, it saves your work. There is no save button. Everything that you type, as soon as you type a number in or an answer and you check it and it's either correct or incorrect, it saves that you typed that in. All right, so it shows that I have missed question 3 at this point. So so you don't have to. You can click save if you like. They have a save button, but save is really not necessary. I'm going to close that out. And so now I'm going to go back and show you about the tests. So tests work a little bit differently. So I'm going to open a practice test here. All right, so on the practice test, it will tell you how much time you have left, how many attempts you have. So this is a practice test. You have an unlimited number of attempts here, and there's 31 questions on it, and you will click Start Test. And what you'll notice that's different on a test is that question help button is not there. This is intended for you to get your practice at doing this problem without getting help. Sometimes students use the help feature as a crutch all the way through homework, and when they get to the test, if they don't have a practice test the first time they take it, they kind of panic because that button's not there. The practice test is a way for you to get that practice without having any penalty for practicing. Now, one thing I do want to note, once you enter into a test mode, even if it's a practice test, you cannot just X out this window. If you X out the window, it will lock you out of everything in MyMathLab, including the homework. Because what the system is designed to do is, you might look at this question and say, oh, that's just like my homework number 2. That was the 3rd question I did. I'm going to close this out and go check out that question and see how I did it over there and go look in MyMathLab. As soon as you do that, it says, no, you can't do that. It's not possible for you to go back to your homework while you're in the middle of a test to look at something. So even if you're taking this as a practice and you've just opened it just like I have and you haven't done anything, you need to submit the test. And it's going to give you a scary warning message, but this is a practice test. So just hit submit test, and that will prevent you from getting locked out of your assignments. So just know that you can't log out of a test once you've started. You can't navigate anywhere else. And if you're in a practice test, just go ahead and submit it if you are done, even if you aren't done. And so we'll close that out. And so that's how tests work, and the main test works the same way, but you'll have one attempt on the actual test. And the test may use question pooling, so if you use the practice test, it may give you 20 questions, and then the next time you take it, it may give you 20 different questions, because I may find 4 problem types that are similar, and every time you take it, you get one of those 4 problems that are different. And of course, MyMathLab changes the numbers as well. You can view your grades here in MyMathLab. I will say there's a little discrepancy between MyMathLab and D2L gradebooks, just in the way they calculate, and I can't fix it. I've tried. It's just the way that they're built to calculate. But you can review your scores here. It shows your time spent. I can see the time you spent, what day you started it. And so the next thing you want to know about in here, there's a study plan that's completely optional if you want extra practice outside of homework. E-text, this is where you will get to your textbook. You can either click e-text or come down to your chapter contents here on the left hand side, and both of those will take you to the book. And then the final thing I want to show you is Multimedia Library. If you click that, let's say you're in chapter 5 here, that's what we were just doing, College Algebra 5.1, and you want to go see the PowerPoints, for example, for 5.1. You can click that and click Find Now, and it will bring up the PowerPoints, or you can just do Select All. It will find every multimedia assignment that is available. So there's some animations, there's a test prep video, there's a multimedia textbook, section video lectures, other videos. There's plenty of options here. So that's another way to go find other resources beyond what was in the media assignment that's for every section. And then outside of that, that is mostly how MyMathLab works. And from this point, if you do want to check grades, I do recommend checking them over in D2L. But as a reminder, as I stated in that video, when you do work in MyMathLab, the D2L grade does not populate immediately. It takes maybe an hour or two sometimes. Sometimes it's quicker than that to sync up back over into D2L. So that's MyMathLab. And so for the next video, I'm going to show you things about my website.